Sure, you can always shop around for flooring, but in the end, it all leads back to the one place you probably should have started, the experts at Carpet One. Save yourself the time and the hassle and let Carpet One help you find the right product at the right price. Beautifully installed, guaranteed. Come see the One, Carpet One, on the Business Loop in Columbia.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, January 29th. I want to introduce you to Dr. David Newman, RoseHeart Hypnotherapy Success Center. You've been on the program many times.
I have.
Today we are dealing with a topic that we have never touched before, and it's called spiritual regression.
It is.
What is spiritual regression?
Spiritual regression, from my standpoint as a neuroscientist and a hypnotherapist, is one of the most exciting areas to do research in. Okay, and the reason is most hypnosis, we're dealing with the subconscious mind, and we're dealing with the brain wave in delta. Okay, when we go into spiritual hypnosis or spiritual regression, we're actually going into theta brainwave, and we're moving from the subconscious area, which is at the base of the brainstem, and we're moving into the hippocampus, which is a large organ in the center of the brain.
And what is that?
The hippocampus controls memory. It controls a lot of things, but the really interesting thing when we start talking about spiritual regression is the question I asked, and I had personal reasons to ask this, is what happens when we die? And nobody can tell me. Medical doctors can't tell me. You know, there's lots of things.
But many people who have died and come back from death have had similar experiences.
Similar experiences.
They have lifted up out of their body.
Right.
They have seen a bright light. They're going towards the bright light. At one point, they're told that it's not their time.
That's right.
And they have to come back.
They come back.
Now, I've read that. I have read that in fact, a book by Dr. David Mooney years ago. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
I was fascinated with that book, and he was a medical doctor, and he did research on people who have been clinically dead and come back to life. And I can tell you firsthand, my mother had an experience like this when she was in the hospital. And my mother is not one to making up stories, but she floated up out of her body. She saw a bright light outside of the hospital room where she said, my father was on the other side of the bright light. And she was going to go to that light.
Right.
And he told her, it's not your time yet. You have to go back. She said, I want to come with you, John. He said, you can't come. It's not your time. And she went back. And my mother told me this story, and I have no reason to doubt her or believe
that is totally congruent with everything that we have. Now, when we're dealing with spiritual regression, it's a little bit different because you're not having an out-of-body experience per se because you're not dead. Your heart rate's going, your brain waves are going, but we're putting the person into a theta brainwave state. And what happens, this is very, very deep hypnosis. And so when we regress the person into the spirit world, unlike past lives type therapy, where you would actually have the person, you know, go back through the womb and a whole bunch of other things, what we do is I will go ahead and I will put the person in a very serene scene. They're actually seeing this and feeling it. They step into a light and they feel themselves become elevated, and as they look, they're seeing a point. The point can oftentimes be blue, gold, white, or white with a blue tint. Those are the four that people have constantly come back and seen. And when they go to that point, it's almost like a doorway. And there's people or energy. Sometimes they appear as energy balls. Sometimes they appear as people that they recognize, that they call their guides or part of their soul family that they know. Okay, they know them in the spirit world. And oftentimes what they've related back is that spirits return, part of the soul group. So many of the people that you know are actually part of your soul group, and together they're helping you and them learn things out of this life of experiences to take back. The really amazing thing is that when they talk about going into the council chamber, per se, they always describe it in a similar way. The council members, whether they're in body form or in energy form, are usually sitting in a semicircle table. When you would go there, they say oftentimes the first few times that they feel a lot of trepidation. They're afraid they're going to be judged. And they come back and they go, there is no judgment. None. It's all love. And it's, what did you learn? What can you improve on? When you go back, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it?
What kind of response have you had from organized religion on this?
I haven't had any, and probably the reason I haven't had any is because we really don't advertise that we're doing this type of research that much. People do find us and they come out, but it's very congruent. People that come to us and talk come from all walks of life. I've had atheists, I've had Jews, I've had Islam, I've had Christians, Catholics, I mean straight across the board, so we have a lot of dogma in here. But when
You've
they come
had
back,
atheists?
yes.
And what kind of response have you had from atheists?
Their response when they come out is they're changed. And the first thing they say is, I never realized this, and suddenly my life makes sense. And oftentimes we'll have people that come in and they're having a situation where they're duplicating things. I try to do this in business, for example, and it fails. And I go over here and I do something else, and it fails, and it fails. And they're coming back on, I don't get it. I'm doing everything right. Why is this not working? When they go into the council and then they come back and they go, I know what was going on. Well, okay, what was going on? I'm supposed to have learned this, and I didn't. And now I've got it. And suddenly their lives just change like that. And it's an amazing thing to watch.
And it's called spiritual regression.
It's called spiritual regression.
Can anybody do this? I mean, can anybody participate in it if they want?
You mean as a client? Like,
yeah,
absolutely. That's not an issue. We do have to condition you just a little bit if you haven't ever been hypnotized before to get you into a deep state. But once that's done, yeah.
When you say get you into a deep state, this is a really deep state of hypnosis.
It's theta. It's theta, and we're usually most hypnosis is done. Most clinical hypnosis is done in delta, which is where we're at for therapeutic. This is theta. This is a step below that.
So, do you have, when you're in that type of hypnosis, do you still have control over yourself, or
you do? You always do. You always have that control. And that's one of the things that I said, that when God created us, they gave us this master control that, no one can ever force us to do anything. Not at all.
How can people get more information?
Give us a call on our 800 number. It's 888-604-9997, or go to our website, which is www.mohyp.com.
All right. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Dr. David Newman. Pleasure having you here. Our let's see, tomorrow, on Monday, we've got the Youth Empowerment Zone on. Lorenzo Lawson will be here. Our program directed by Travis McMillen, Reynolds Journalism Institute. Audio with Pat Akers from KBIA. Our floor director is Kevin Casson, and our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. Drop me an email. I would love to hear from you. It's pepperp@missouri.edu. Bye-bye.